Hallo liebe Leute, ich hoffe, dass es euch gut geht und willkommen zurück auf meinem Kanal. If you're new to my channel, my name's Sophie and I would love it if you hit that big red subscribe button down below. So for this video I'm going to be talking about all of the different resources that I use to learn German and would recommend for learning German, how exactly it is that I learn German, and give you all some tips for learning German. So if you are learning German or you are wanting to start learning German, then you should probably watch this video. So without further ado, let's get into the video, shall we? Okay, so firstly I want to say that it may be a good idea to follow some sort of course or have some sort of classes with a teacher, just so that you have a bit of structure in your language learning routine. Now obviously you can learn a language by yourself and make your own routine. It is possible, there are people who do it, but if you are struggling with the whole kind of getting a good structure and routine, it may be a good idea to follow some sort of course or get some sort of textbook or something that you can follow. Obviously textbooks aren't always the best, or just have like an hour per week with a native speaker or something. Obviously I study languages at university, so I have German classes at university and I have that kind of structure at university because I have like 3 hours of German a week and the classes are like planned out, so I have that structure there, on top of obviously doing my own learning as well. I do my own learning for German, so yeah, but obviously as well there's other things that you can do. I've taken a German class on italki before. I never took any more than that just because I felt like I didn't have much money. I don't have much money. So not because I don't like italki, I would definitely recommend you take classes with italki. The only reason I took one class for German is because I don't have much money. So yeah, and if I'm going to take classes on italki again, I would do it for French, just because that's my weakest language and I don't have a lot of money, so I would prioritise that language over German. But yeah, italki is good if you just want to speak with a teacher every so often, and I have an affiliate link to italki down below. I don't know what I just said there, but yeah, I have an affiliate link, so obviously if you do sign up to italki I'll get a bit of a kickback if you use that link. If you do choose to use a textbook to learn German, then I will say one thing: don't buy Mittelpunkt, this one, or any of the other levels, because I had Mittelpunkt, B1 plus Auch, and yeah, I didn't like either of them, and neither did anybody in my German class at university. When we were using these, we didn't like them. We just preferred it when the teachers gave their own explanations for grammar. I've also used another textbook for German which was kind of similar but a bit better, and this was the one that I used when I was actually living in Germany and taking German classes in Germany, and when I was an au pair. It's this one, Schritte Plus. This is the B1.1 und ich habe auch the B1.2. Oh, I'm forgetting how to speak German, but yeah, you can see my notes actually is still all in this one. It's very similar to Mittelpunkt in layout, in like both Mittelpunkt and Schritte Plus, and they have like Kursbuch, which is like the lessons, and then they have Arbeitsbuch, which is like the exercises that you do at home. Like usually the Arbeitsbuch, like when I was in Germany, we would do the work in the Kursbuch, in a certain chapter in the Kursbuch, and then we would do the work for homework in the Arbeitsbuch, because they like go alongside each other. So you do the lessons first and then you have the exercises in the back, which I like the structure of. I don't particularly like any of the textbooks, but I prefer this one to Mittelpunkt. That's all I'm going to say. But you can probably find some other books that are better, maybe not textbooks but just like course books, just grammar books and stuff. Speaking of grammar, I highly recommend the app Deutsch Perfect Trainer. It looks like this. You can see it there, kind of. You can also see that I've re-downloaded the app Duolingo after I said in an interview on Catherine's channel that I think I said I deleted Duolingo from my phone. Yeah, I reinstalled it. Giving it another go. But anyway, enough about that. Deutsch Perfekt-Trainer. This is something that I really recommend if you hate studying grammar, you hate doing boring grammar exercises in a book, but you know that your grammar's not the best and you need to go over it. Basically me. Basically me. I know that I need to learn German grammar. Honestly, if you want to learn German, you're going to have to learn German grammar. I'm sorry, people say sometimes that you can learn a language without learning like grammar. I've heard that, but no, just like no. Like, if you learn a language without learning the correct grammar, you're just not gonna be making sense, and that's especially the case with German. And the good thing about German grammar though is there's so many rules, so, and most of the time like there's not really that many exceptions to the rules, so yeah, it just makes sense. Once you get your head around the grammar, it makes sense. My problem with German grammar is that I've been studying German for so long now that I've learned all of the German grammar. So I don't like spending loads of time going over the German grammar because I find it boring. I'm like, I've learnt this, I don't need to know this. I learnt this, I know this, except deep down I know that I don't actually know it because I make grammatical mistakes all of the time. But I just find like spending an hour having a grammar lesson or something, going over like a specific point of grammar, to be so boring because I've probably gone over this point all the time. But yeah, just still, I just make mistakes. So that's why I like Deutsch Perfekt-Trainer, because the lessons are all really short, and a lot of the grammar lessons as well are just things that I wouldn't necessarily think to, like they really break it down into small topics. So if it's a lesson on prepositions, it'll focus on like 2 specific prepositions instead of being like, here's all the German prepositions you need to know. And the good thing as well is it's like a swipe thing, so you get like 5 lessons come up, and if you don't want to learn them, you just swipe. The only problem that I've found with Deutsch Perfekt-Trainer is that the lessons, they only seem to have leicht und mittel, and I don't want leicht, I don't want mittel, I want schwer. I want like a difficult lesson. I don't want eine Herausforderung, aber yeah, they don't have that. But then at the same time, maybe it's good because sometimes it's good to do the easier things. I just choose to do mittel, but yeah, you can just swipe up to get rid of a lesson if you don't want to do it. You can repeat a lesson at the same time, and actually it's not just good for grammar because it has listening on it as well, listening exercises, reading exercises. You learn a lot of vocab. There's like examples of conversations to listen to, and you can learn certain phrases to use in conversation. There's also like Weißt du schon, I think is what it's called, which is just like general knowledge, which I skip past those because I don't get any of the answers to the questions right. I can understand the questions, but I never know the answers because it'll be like Weißt du schon Wissenschaft, and it'll be like Weißt du schon über Wissenschaft, and then it'll like be like some really complicated question that I wouldn't know the answer to in English, you know, kind of thing. But yeah, you can just skip and just do the lessons that you find interesting, which I love. So yeah, I highly recommend that app. Not sponsored by Deutsch Perfekt-Trainer at all. It was actually recommended to me by one of my lecturers, so you know, a professional who teaches German recommended it. So definitely download that app, because if you don't trust me, if you don't trust my opinion, trust my lecturer's opinion. So yeah. Also, for learning German grammar, I really love the website German.net. Now, I started using this website after I watched a video similar to this one on Elise Speaks channel, so it only feels fair to give her a little shout out there because it was her recommendation, and also yeah, now you've got 2 people recommended it, so it's good. Basically, you can actually create an account on German.net so that it saves your progress on any of the exercises and stuff, so you can go on and you can see what exercises you did. It's also like good for other stuff other than grammar. I know they've got like reading and like vocabulary and stuff on there. I personally use it for grammar. I feel like the reading exercises, I think they only go up to like B2, level B2, and yeah, I feel like I like more of a challenge than level B2 reading exercises, but maybe I'll give one of them a go. But yeah, I use it for grammar. I really like it for grammar because you get explanations as well as exercises. They also just have like verb conjugation, like quizzes thing where you literally conjugate like every verb. I've been doing it for like the simple past tense because I realise where I don't use that tense so much when I'm speaking, I've like forgotten a lot of like the irregular conjugations, so I've been going through and doing that. But then because it's like literally like, I think it's all the verbs, I don't know, well, it's obviously not all of the verbs, but it's a lot of verbs because it's testing you on a lot of verbs. I only do it for so long and then I stop but because I have an account on there, it remembers and it's not going to test me on the verbs that I've already done. It like keeps track. So that's really good. I like the fact that you can create an account on there. The only problem with creating an account on there is I recommend that you write down your password if you don't know it, because there doesn't seem to be a forgot my password section. I think it's because you don't sign up with an email, so they can't email you. And the first time I forgot my password, and then I had to change my account, like I had to think of a different username because there was no forgot my password, and I was trying to sign up again and it was like, that username's taken. So yeah, I highly recommend that you just like keep a note of your password, because there's no forgot my password button, which is really annoying. I shouldn't really recommend you to keep a note of your password because, you know, you could get hacked. So maybe don't keep a note of your password, or if you do keep a note of your password, make it a password that's very, very different to any password that you use on anything else, because you don't want to get hacked on like PayPal or something and lose all your money. So yeah. Also for learning grammar, I highly recommend the site Lingola. I really like this just for explanations. I think there are some exercises on there, like some tests, but you have to like create an account and I think you have to like pay, but I just like it for short explanations. They definitely have this site in other languages as well. I've definitely seen that they have it in French and Spanish. I think there's another language as well, and then on top of that English. Yeah, I just like it for short explanations, because sometimes, I don't know, like when I'm writing like an essay or something, and I'm like, it's more for cases and stuff that I'll check. I'll be like doing the cases and I'll be like, oh, plural in the dative, right, is that den? And then I'll just like go to write den, but then I wouldn't be sure, so then I'll go to Langola just to check, because I don't want to like submit an essay with like incorrect grammar if I can. So yeah, just for checking quick things, or like making revision notes on certain grammar points, I highly recommend Lingola just for explanation. Okay, so resources for listening. So first of all, don't forget that Deutsch Perfect Trainer that I mentioned in the grammar section has listening exercises as well, so I recommend that. But yeah, obviously Netflix, films, like if you've got a Netflix account or an Amazon Prime account, take advantage of it, because there's German shows and films on both of those. I've made a video on German shows. I haven't made one on German films yet, but I'm planning to. But I've made a video on German shows that I recommend, so I'll leave that up there. I've also made a video on German YouTubers that I recommend. Leave that up there. You know, I'll just leave a playlist to my German videos up there, and you can find German shows in it and German YouTubers that I watch and would recommend. So take advantage of both of those things. On top of that, there's Euronews. I mentioned this in my videos on French and Spanish resources, so I don't want to talk about it too much, but basically it's just short news clips and they have text below it, so I like to watch the video and then afterwards read the text to check how much I've understood. The text isn't always exactly the same as what's said in the video, but it says all of the main points, so you can check that you've understood the gist of the video, which is good. Also, I recommend songs. I made a video on German music that I like and recommend as well, and you can find that in the playlist that I've already linked up there. So yeah, and again, I'll recommend Lyrics Trainer. I mentioned this in my Spanish and French video as well, so I don't want to talk too much about that either, but basically it's just like a game thing. You find it's just like a game thing. Great explanation. It's like filling the gaps. So you listen to the song and then you fill in the gaps with the correct words that you hear, and you can change the level to make it harder or easier. And yeah, recommend that. And then also what I recommend is Deutsche Welle. They have like listening videos and stuff in for different levels. So if you're like doing B1 German at the moment, a B1 German course, you can go find some B1 German videos. If you're doing an A2 German course, you can go find some A2 German videos, etc. So yeah, recommend that. Okay, now for reading, I highly recommend that you read in German as much as possible. It's a great way to learn new vocab. It's a great way to see the language, how it's written, to just see those grammatical structures that you've been learning, just see them actually like used in context. It's just great. I highly recommend reading. I feel like I learn so much from reading in another language, so I highly recommend that, whether you choose to read fiction or non-fiction, whether you choose to read, I don't know, novels, poems, or online news articles, whatever it is, you can really learn from it. And obviously you can make it fun because you can choose what you can read, and you can read things that you're interested in. So if you're a fan of reading anyway, then this is a great one for you, you know. I recommend reading stuff that's been written by Germans, or Austrians, or just native speakers of German, rather than read stuff that's been translated from your mother tongue into, or English or any other language into German, because sometimes stuff doesn't translate correctly, but you would still learn stuff. Like if you read Harry Potter in German, you would still learn stuff. So if you want to read Harry Potter in German, go ahead, by all means, read Harry Potter in German, you know, and at least you already know the story, so it would hopefully make it quite easy for you if you're still not a very confident speaker of German. But if you're definitely not very confident, what I would highly recommend is that you get one of these books from Pons. Now Pons have so many different books for like learning German and stuff, and they're also, I actually use Pons as a dictionary, a German dictionary, and I think it's like written by Germans, stuff by Pons. I'm not too sure. I think it's all by Germans. Oh no, this book was actually written by someone from North England. It tells me that inside. So yeah, but yeah, I highly recommend these because they're like short stories, and they're designed for people learning German. So they actually have, like, if you open it up, they have like, you know, like kind of like a little glossary. Like they have footnotes, and in the footnotes they have certain words that they think that you might not know, and they have an explanation in German, which is great because you can read it and you can be like, ah, what's this? And it's also great because anybody learning German who has any anybody learning German who, this sentence that I'm trying to say doesn't make sense, I've forgotten how to speak English, but basically it doesn't matter what your mother tongue is, that's what I want to say, and you can pick this book up and you can go to the footnotes and know what's going on if you know enough German. You know, it's not like they've highlighted certain words that they thought you wouldn't know and given you an English translation, because not everybody speaks English. So yeah, highly recommend, and they have them in all different levels, so you can find a level for you. I've got this one in level B1 because I got this when I was living in Germany and I was taking a B1 class, so I got this one to go alongside it. Haven't actually finished it because I don't do B1 anymore. I think when I came back to the UK, I think I just relied on the stuff at university. I didn't take this with me to university. I should have. And yeah, I might start reading it again even though I'm past level B1, because I'm sure there's still plenty of words in there that I don't know, and plenty of stuff that I can learn, even though, you know, I've done B1 now and I guess I'm level B2. Also for reading, if you are at that stage where you feel like you don't need to read something like this that's been written for somebody who's learning German, I highly recommend that you read Tsichk. If you're at that stage where you want to read something that's been written for actual native German speakers, but still you don't want something that's too difficult, too overwhelming, like you don't want something with like old German language in it. Tsichk was like quite newly written. I actually have it somewhere. Let me go. Here it is. Here's my copy of Tsichk, and as you can see it's not too big either, so it definitely is a very good one to start with as your like first German book that's written for like native speakers. Also it's very like modern German. I can't remember when it was written, but I think it was sometime in the year 2000s, so yeah, it's definitely like quite modern German, which is good. It's also like a youth book, is that what we're going to call it? A youth book, like a young adult book, I don't know, like, so it's not very hard language, like it should be quite fairly easy to understand. Obviously you're not going to understand everything in it, but hopefully you can work out what's going on from the context and what you do know. And yeah, it's basically a story about these boys and they steal a car and just drive around Germany, and they're like 14 if I remember correctly. It's been a long time since I read it. Also I think I think it was my friend Rika who told me this. My German friend Rika told me that she had to learn this at school in Germany, so like at high school. So yeah, if kids are learning it at high school in Germany, like it can't be like too overly difficult. It's not like, you know, they're learning it at university in Germany. So yeah, and there's a film as well to this, so you can watch the film afterwards to check how much you've understood. The film, obviously it's called Tsichk, but when I watched it on Amazon Prime, I'm not sure if it's still on Amazon Prime because it's been a long while, like 2 years since I watched it, but when I watched it on Amazon Prime, the title was in English, and the title in English for some reason isn't Tsichk, I guess because people wouldn't necessarily know what that name is. It's not an English name, it's not a very typical name. I never met anybody over here with that name, but the English translation of it is Goodbye Berlin, so just to let you know in case you do go looking for the film and you're like, I can't find Tsichk, it's because it's been translated into Goodbye Berlin. Now obviously if you're learning German, you want to learn vocab, you know, you need to learn vocab, and there's a few different things that I use to learn vocab, and there's a few different dictionaries and stuff I use. At the moment the online dictionary that I'm using the most is Pons. I used to use Leo, but then one of my lecturers told us that we shouldn't use it because I think she said it's kind of like Wikipedia, so like you don't really know who's saying that word means this in English. Like I guess I could technically go on to Leo if I wanted to and be like, Wörterbuch doesn't mean dictionary. I could put some complete different word if I wanted to, like vocabulary book, I don't know, for example, I guess. Whereas like Pons, I don't know, she recommended Pons. I think she said it was by Germans as well, so yeah. But also like I recommend as well as online dictionaries, a German to German dictionary once you're at that level. If you want a German to German dictionary online, Duden is the one which, I think that's the one which actual native German speakers use when they're looking for a word they don't know, because I know my Swiss German friend Simon uses Duden. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, and I know it was recommended to me by a lecturer as well. But I have, like, I don't know, this is my baby. This is my favourite thing. I never thought I would be so in love with a dictionary, and it makes me feel like such a nerd. But oh my god, Deutsch als Fremdsprache, also German as a foreign language. And it's literally just, I don't know, I just like having a hard copy of it. Obviously I don't take it around with me everywhere, so sometimes I will use Duden because it's online, but I don't know. Personally I prefer this to Duden. I only use Duden when I haven't got this to hand or I can't find something in here, but I really like it. Also it has certain pictures for certain things, so yeah, so you can see Gerade, that's like straight, and I guess Schwag. It's kind of like tilting. I don't really know. Maybe if I read the actual definition I would have a better idea of what the best translation is in English. But yeah, I don't know, I just love having a definition, and when you do get to a stage that you know enough German that you can read definitions, it's definitely very, very good, because if you put it into a dictionary and get it translated, like a direct translation into your mother tongue, you may find that you find multiple different words, because sometimes words have multiple different meanings and you may be really like confused about what word exactly it is to use. Whereas if you use this, will give you multiple different like definitions and examples, well, not, you don't have to use this, but something like this, give you multiple different definitions and examples, and you can see how it's used in different contexts, and you can get a better idea of what is the correct word to use. And obviously you need to know the word in German beforehand to use this, but sometimes, like often, if like I know a word in English and I want to know the word in German, and I put it into Pons and it'll come up with multiple different words in German, so it'll come up with like 3 or 4 words in German, I will go through each word one by one in here to find the best one to use, basically, because otherwise when I haven't done that, that's when I've got feedback from work that says like, this word doesn't make sense here, Sophie, what you playing at? But when I use this, it happens less often. A lot less often. So yeah, highly recommend a German to German dictionary. So for actually like testing my vocabulary and drilling certain words into my brain, I really like to use Anki. I don't want to talk about it too much as I've already spoken about it in my Spanish and French video, as it is something that you can use for any language and not just for languages, because it's basically just like a revision card tool, like so you can download it as a desktop app and you create your own like decks, so like different cards, and you just add cards, and I'm not going to talk about it too much, but it's free to download as a desktop app. I've heard that you can download it as an app on your phone, but you have to pay for it. Personally, I like it as a desktop app anyway, so I wouldn't pay for it. I'll just use the free version. But yeah, look it up yourself, because I don't want to ramble on again for everybody who's watched the previous French and Spanish video about how much I love Anki. So just, yeah, it sounded kind of rude then, didn't I? Just look it up yourself, but do that. And then again, drops, I use drops again, spoke about that in another video, so I don't want to talk about it too much, but it's a free app to download. There's a premium version. I personally just use the free version, but if you use the free version you only get 5 minutes per day, and that's not 5 minutes per language, that's 5 minutes for everything, which does annoy me because it means I have to choose what language I want to learn on that day. Yeah, sometimes you get extra time, and they'll like be like, here's an extra minute, or here's an extra 5 minutes, or whatever, if you've been playing it a lot, like to reward you. So yeah, recommend that. Basically it's just like a match the words up swipe thing. I don't know, I don't want to talk about it loads, so just again, go look it up yourself. Not to be rude, but go look it up yourself, because I don't want to bore everybody that watched the French and the Spanish video. Now for speaking, I said this in my French and Spanish videos, but I'm just going to stress this again because, you know, maybe some of you didn't watch those videos as you're watching this video to learn German, right? Not French and Spanish, or Spanish, but yeah. Anyway, I highly recommend that you find a tandem partner. It is just a free way to practice, and it's a way to get comfortable speaking quite quickly, because you find somebody who's a native speaker of German, or is a fluent speaker of German, who wants to learn either your mother tongue or one of the languages which you speak fluently, and you just have like a free exchange. You help each other out. It's like a you scratch my back, I scratch your back kind of thing. So you help each other out. It's like obviously like completely free, and if you're one of those people who is quite nervous, gets quite anxious, yes, this would be quite anxious and this may be quite difficult for you at first, but if you find one tandem partner that you really like, then hopefully you'll start to open up to that person a bit more and feel like that you can talk to them a bit more, and then grow, you know, in confidence and speaking that language if you're just practicing it with one person. Obviously you may have the trouble of finding somebody to speak to, and I do highly recommend that there are apps for this, such as Tandem. That's the app I use, although I've never found anybody on Tandem who have had a video call with more than once. But I guess if you did really like someone, you could just be like, can you like add me on Facebook or something so we can communicate better, because I feel like with Tandem I get so many messages come through, that obviously messages from people that, you know, it'll say I'm online and people just start messaging me, and then those messages will come at the top of like my little like homepage thing, so then messages from people that I've previously spoken to would just get hidden, and I think that's why I've never really had conversations with the same people more than once. So if you do find someone that you really like, I recommend you ask them if you want to chat over some other form of like social media, but don't force them. Obviously don't be like, you must add me on Facebook or WhatsApp or whatever. Like, maybe not WhatsApp, because WhatsApp's asking for people's phone numbers as well, which could make people feel very uncomfortable. Obviously whatever people are comfortable with. If they're only comfortable with Tandem, they're only comfortable with Tandem. I just want to stress that. Don't force anybody. You don't want anybody to report you and then you can't use the app, do you? Also, there are other ways to obviously finding tandem partners. There are other apps. I know HelloTalk is an app like Tandem. I haven't used that though. Actually, I found a tandem partner through YouTube, just in the comment section. My friend Margarita, I met her through YouTube, and I practice my Spanish and German with her, and she practices her English with me, and just, yeah, so there are other ways. You don't just have to use these apps where you get messages for tons and tons of people. I'm sure that you could find forums or pages on Facebook pages or something and find the tandem partner on there. So just go exploring, look on the web and find somewhere where you can find someone to practice with. So yeah, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a big thumbs up and hit that big red subscribe button down below to see more videos from me. I do talk about languages a lot, so if you like learning languages, you may want to stick around. I also talk about uni life, and back when I was travelling more, I made travel vlogs, and hopefully I'll be travelling soon, because hopefully I'll be going to France next semester and I'll make a few travel vlogs whilst I'm there. So if you like those sort of videos too, definitely subscribe. I'm rambling on a lot. This is the end of this video. Follow me on Instagram and all that lovely stuff. Oh, comment down below what resources you use to learn German and what tips you have. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!